Let's make some noise. Come on.
Oh, that's right. Thank you very much, Nick Foles, once again for that rousing introduction, as Nick is my hype man. That's right, Nick Foles, the official hype man of the Final Word here on the It's Rap Sports Network. And welcome back to the Final Word. You might have remembered me from the Fighting's Final about 20 minutes ago. Multi-taskable, as I can kind of go from two shows at once. But yes, I am MattyB, and I am here on the call of the flagship show on this Mighty Fine Network on this lovely Tuesday night here in, like, I guess technically mid-August. And boy, yes, as the show title does indicate, the dog days of summer have arrived, and we are smack dab in it. And dog days of the summer, for a lot of different ways, seasonal situation with the heat and the sounds of late summer and all that, but also in our sports world, the dog days of summer have arrived, figuratively and literally. Along with our baseball team that's slugging their way through a potential another postseason run. Would be their third straight. Wait, 22. That'd be their fourth straight. Sorry. And then the football team, one game into the preseason, and already a lot of news to talk about when it comes to your Eagles. And we're going to put our Eagles hats on tonight a little bit, because the news that has shocked the world, or at least Eagles Nation, Landon Dickerson with the meniscus issue. Is it a minor injury? Is it a major injury? Is he going to miss a little time, a lot of time, intermediate amount of time? Who is going to come in and replace him? How does this affect the Eagles offense? And how does this obviously affect their bid for a second straight Super Bowl championship? Because that's what it's about these days, folks, as it very well should be, about the Philadelphia Eagles winning another Super Bowl, because that's what you have the ability to do. You have the unique opportunity set forth in front of you this season to go back to back and thus create and begin the long-awaited Philadelphia Eagle dynasty. So what is that going to do to that dynasty? And can the Eagles, and do they have enough firepower to withstand a potential Landon Dickerson absence? Because think what you want. I mean, he is one of the stalwarts of that offensive line. Who's going to protect Jalen's left side? Who's going to open up those holes on the left for Saquon? And who's going to be the orchestrator of the tusher pusher without Landon Dickerson there? And what does this do to the Eagle offense? And what does this do to the Eagle offensive line? I know there's a lot of talk out there about Jeff Stoutland yielding his magic. Can he do it without Landon Dickerson? So we're going to get into the Eagles. We are going to continue the conversation if you want. I mean, I've pretty much handled it on the Final Word. There's not really much more to talk about. 6-1 lackluster offensive performance by the Phillies tonight in Cincinnati against the Reds in a rain delay. Brady Singer looking all the Nolan Ryan-esque as he was shutting down Phillies offense, 1, 2, 3, basically. So we'll get into some of the Phillies conversation. We have our Day in Philadelphia sports history, our of the night segment, and our card review. All the great things that you've come accustomed to on this fine program on this hot ass night. I don't know where you are in the world, but where I am, it's like 85 degrees, and it's almost 10:30 at night. So let's get it rolling here on the show. Joe Hale's there. Hey, what's up, Joe? Ricky Deal, is he here? I haven't seen him yet. He usually makes himself known by now. Before I get it going, though, I just want to remind everybody out there, and again, I want to send on my final thank you. We're well on our way to 200 subscribers on YouTube, up to 104, I think. And I want to thank everybody for their generosity and helping us out, because we definitely need it. And it does my tiny black heart, proud to see that. So thank you once again for the support and continued support as we try to make this every bit of what it can be. The It's Rap Sports Network, and not just me. It's not about me. It's about the other shows that are here, and our ability to grow and our ability to bring in new talent. Because somewhere out there is the next MattyB. That's right. He's out there somewhere, or she's out there somewhere, and I hope I can find them. So we'll be on the lookout for them. And we'll give them a platform. We will give them a platform. So that's what we do here. This is what I worry about, the Phillies offense not showing up in the postseason. I don't know where you were, Michael Papernick, for the post-game, but that was exactly my theme of the post-game show. I was in for Steve Fuentes, and my actual theme was this, to me, the way they performed offensively was not, when you look at games like this, especially with a team like this and a season like this, you're always like, you know what, you can't win them all. You're not going to go 162-0. You're going to have a couple clunkers out there. You're going to have a lot of them. But this type of offensive performance is more the norm for this baseball team over the past 4 years. But again, I know, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say it, this isn't the same team, but this is more of what we've grown accustomed to offensively for this team. This was the textbook definition of what ails the Phillies. It's that if you're not going to hit home runs, you're just not going to do anything offensively. And they made Brady Singer out there tonight look like the next coming. So you're right, Michael Papernick. This is exactly what I worry about as well when it comes to this offense heading into the postseason. Are they going to disappear like this? Because when they disappear, they don't just kind of fade away. No, they go hard and they just vanish. And we cannot afford games like this in October. And yes, it is, to me, at this stage of the season, all about talking about what could happen in October. And this, again, is not an anomaly. And I want to be very clear about that to all you Phillies fans out there. I want to be very clear. And I am a Phillies fan. I love the Phillies. Of course, I want to see them win more than 2 world championships in 143 years. But to me, the offensive performance tonight has been more the norm than the anomaly. And that's concerning and scary and all the above. And I still do believe they have enough pitching. And I'll go to my deathbed saying that. It's the offense that scares the living crap out of me. And tonight, they showed why. So I agree with you, Mike. Hello, Nina. How are you tonight? It's a weird last name you have there. Matt, can we open the phone lines? We can, Ricky, maybe. Let's just see. I'm already behind on the show tonight. So let me get through some things. But yes, I think I will. With the big secret about Wheeler's arm or shoulder, is there a concern for Ranger? Again, I kind of hit it on this on the in the post game. Even with all the uncertainty around now, and I guess I didn't even mention Wheeler. I didn't even mention him in the postseason, but you're right, Papernick. I mean, with the uncertainty now about Wheeler's potential, either it's fatigue or an injury, the uncertainty or inconsistencies around Luzardo, the uncertainty with Nola, and now you have the MO of Ranger Suarez just not being able to find his groove in the second half of seasons. Is there a concern? And you mentioned specifically Ranger. Tonight, it was a velocity and a control issue. He just couldn't put anything anywhere. He wasn't able to control anything. And velocity was down, which created very flat pitches. There was no bite to anything he was throwing. And that seems to be what happened to him last year at around this time of the year in the second half. And yes, obviously there is concern, but I still maintain with all that, they have enough pitching. I really do believe they do. I think even if Wheeler's dealing with something, a minor injury or an injury or fatigue, he's going to push it together for the October run. And I think I still maintain, again, the pitching is not my concern. It never has been. And even tonight, with Ranger not being nowhere near his best and giving up, laboring through 5 1/3 with close to 100 pitches in that time, giving up that big 6th inning, with the 3 runs and then the 2 runs prior to that, or the 3 runs prior to that. But even with all that, Michael Papernick, I still believe you got to do, they were still with the type of lineup that they have and the players they have in this lineup, on paper at least, they still have an opportunity to win. 6 runs should not be much for a team like this. And who knows? Does an offensive spark or an offensive pulse, let's call it, I'm not even going to call it a spark, but a pulse, does that motivate Ranger to pitch better? Does this stuff get better throughout the course of the game instead of get worse? I mean, baseball's a weird game. It's a domino game. You feed off energy from different types of places, and the Phillies weren't giving any offensive energy to their pitcher. And, I guarantee you Ranger felt that. And I guarantee you it was demonstrated in his ability to pick up his game out there. And maybe he just got to a point where, why am I killing myself out here? These slugs can't hit anything, and I'm getting shellacked. Why should I care? Again, I don't know. I mean, he's a human being. But I still maintain there's enough pitching there. Even with all the technical uncertainty around, now we can throw Ranger Suarez into the mix because he has not been good or the same since, a handful of starts, I guess. I guess you would say it second half. You would think with Ranger missing a lot of the first part of the season, he wouldn't be fatigued. I'm hoping it's not his back. Yeah, I mean, he missed what? The first month? Didn't he stay down in Clearwater for an additional month? I agree. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. He doesn't look hurt. I mean, I don't know. But again, we got a lot of way to go. We're at 119 games. So that's 43 or so left in the season. There's a lot more baseball left to play. Well, this story is not finished being written. And pitchers do go up and down. They do, but with the Phillies right now, the starting rotation seems a little bit tenuous with a lot of issues cropping up and with no backfill coming. And when you're talking Taijuan Walker as one of your more consistent starters over the past 2 weeks, obviously there's a problem there too. That's sort we're going to fall on is Taijuan Walker. You're right. Maybe there's more to this than I'm giving it credit or credence to. But again, I'm telling you, I really don't care. It's about the offense to me. It really, have I mentioned that? Have I not made that clear enough to me? It's about this offense, and the pitching situation is mute when it comes to this offense to me. I'm not concerned about the Dickerson injury. I don't think he's going to miss time. He's a beast. He played with a bad back. Wow, we're going to go right off the top rope with this. Okay. I mean, that's fine. We can. But before I get into Joe Hale's point in question about Landon Dickerson's injury, let me remind everybody out there that this program is brought to you by the fine folks here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network that bring you great quality programming like the Birds Fly By. And this is our season premiere, or the Eagles Cowboy game back in September. So this is the promo for that. But of course, we got you covered through the preseason too. And this Saturday we'll be there when the clock hits 000, or is it quadruple zero? Whatever it is. Eagles Browns, and Steve Fuentes will have you for that. So make sure you're tuned in, as we are at that time of the year, and as we're talking Eagles right off the bat. So let's get it going here. Let's strap it in, strap it on, strap it up, and keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times, because we're about to get into our day in Philadelphia sports history today. In 1993. Now, really? So, wow, I just realized that. So when I was in my younger days, as a matter of fact, I remember this day in 1993. I remember August. Actually, I do not. August 13th, I remember. So do you guys remember what happened in Phillies history on August 13th, 1993? Phillies history, not Philly history, but Phillies history. Kim Batiste hit a grand slam in the bottom of the 10th inning to walk off the New York Mets. And why I remember that, and you may be asking what is one of the most obscure facts that you could actually remember. I remember that because in celebration of that, I went to a club and then decided to drive home, fell asleep at the wheel of my car, rolled over my Jeep Wrangler, and broke my leg. And spent the next 2 weeks in the hospital and then recovering for the next year. So I remember that day very well. I do. That's not your day in Philadelphia sports history, all right? Because that happened on August 13th. But on this day, on August 12th, and now that I think about it, I do remember this. But and I guess in an effort to reverse the course on one of the worst trades in Sixers history. Now, again, everyone who wants to gravitate, I'm going to flex my basketball muscle here, and I don't do that very rarely because basketball to me is dead, and it's not only because of the Sixers, it's other issues too with the sport these days. But people seem to think that the Sixers' problems that they're having as a franchise being a dumpster fire are, recent. They're not. It's been going on for a while, and it really kind of started with the trade initially of Moses Malone back in I want to say 85 or 86. And I'll never forget this draft night deal with the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Sixers traded Brad Daugherty, who they selected first overall, to Cleveland. And then they ended up sending Moses Malone to the Washington Bullets for Jeff Rutland. They got Roy Hinson back from the Cavaliers in the Brad Daugherty deal. So if you're asking me, when did the problems with this franchise begin? It kind of started with that. And they were a perennial. At the time of that trade, things were starting to go down. Doc was coming to the end of his career. Andrew Toney's feet were no longer, he was able to sustain himself, so he left the game. Charles Barkley was a young rookie kind of coming up. So there was still somewhat of a window. Moses was there, but they were getting old. And maybe there was, I don't know, maybe there was a sense of we just don't have enough. But of course, with that trade of Daugherty and then Moses, just one sort of maybe the worst, possibly the worst trades in all of Philadelphia sports history on that night. But on this night, and that's not what this day in sports history is, but on this night back in 93, the Sixers, trying to reverse that, signed Moses Malone at 38 years old. He was signed as a free agent by the Sixers, brought in primarily to mentor the newly minted 7'6", #1 overall pick, center Sean Bradley. You guys remember this guy? Had legs like toothpicks. Remember him? So the idea around signing Moses at this point in his career was obviously not a reason to recapture any sort of championship glory. Moses Malone was well beyond his prime. But this was an idea to try to mentor the young Bradley and try to turn him into, and I don't know if that's what they really thought they were going to do, is turn Sean Bradley into a low post threat in the 1990s NBA. I don't think that, I honestly can't believe that that's what they were trying to do. But maybe they were trying to sort of well-round the young man by bringing Moses in to sort of act as a on the floor or teammate mentor. And it didn't work out, obviously. Moses Malone, his impact with the Sixers was limited that year. He did, he was a bench guy at that time. Bradley, of course, went down as one of the biggest busts in all of draft history and all biggest busts in the Sixers history. I mean, right up there with I guess you could probably put Ben Simmons on that list. But on this night back in 1993, Moses Malone returned to the Sixers in an effort to help mentor the 7'6" Sean Bradley, who did not quite work out for them. So there you go. There's your day in Philadelphia sports history. And that was brought to you by the fine folks of the PNM and the AM program every Sunday morning at 9. Until Pat Bernard figures out his computer situation, which I don't know why it's taking this damn long. It's been going on for 3 weeks now, but Pat's dealing with some internet issues. He's trying to upgrade allegedly, or maybe he's trying to buy internet. I don't know if he's brokering a deal with the gods on Mount Olympus. I don't know what's going on with his internet, but he is out for now until he figures that out. And Mike Lauro, Big Al, or Mike Lauro, or Big Al, depending on if he's by himself, will broker you through the PNM and the AM program every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. And then of the quintessential, we talked about the quintessential postgame. Let's go about the quintessential pregame show. The Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn returns here at the end of the month. And we'll be able to break down some Eagle stuff. That's me and Kyle's thing. So we'll be doing that this year with you again. So all that great programming here on the network. And it's free of charge, man. It's completely free. Yeah, where do you get stuff like that? But all right, let's get back into the conversation. Let me bring up the comment that I kind of cut off. I'm not concerned about the Dickerson injury. I don't think he's going to miss some time. He's a beast. He played with a bad back. Joe, I expect that response. And yes, I know collectively, all of Eagles Nation is holding its breath. He's a huge part of that offensive line. He's a huge part of what makes that line go. He's a huge part of the tush push. huge part of what Saquon Barkley ran behind last year, and a huge part of what keeps Jalen Hurts upright every game. I get it. He's big time. But he's also injury prone. I mean, this meniscus problem is not the first time he's had a problem with the meniscus or his ACL. He's had multiple tears of both throughout his young football life. Now, to your point, I guess all the speculation, because I haven't seen anything updated, just a bunch of speculation that it's going to require a small procedure to repair whatever it is. It's not as bad as, it could be, allegedly. Again, nobody knows for sure except for Landon Dickerson, his God, and his doctor. I don't even know if the Eagles know for sure. And there's been a lot of timelines being put out about whether or not what kind of time he's going to miss. And, what is the value of Landon Dickerson at this point? What are you looking at for him? Is Landon Dickerson the key to winning in September? Or is Landon Dickerson the key to winning in February? And I think that's really the question you got to ask yourself as an Eagle fan. And if you need to put the guy on the shelf for the first month of the season, 6 weeks of the season, so be it, man. I mean, I know a lot of people think that they're deep enough to withstand that. Now, let's take a look real quick about the Eagle depth chart. On the left side, you got Landon Dickerson. You got Kenyon Green, who's also dealing with an injury. Brett Toff, Drew Kendall, Matt Pryor, Trevor Keegan, Darian Kennard, Cameron Williams, and Lakin Velekai. I don't even know who the hell that guy is. So, yeah, I guess we're not, you got Kendall Lamb, Miles Hinton, and Holland Pierce. I mean, not household names are jumping out at you. So I can see where there's some concern. But, at what can you win a Super Bowl in September? No, right? I mean, we've seen the Eagles struggle in September for years. They were 2-2 last year. Would this be a situation just trying to get Landon Dickerson back to being not like, oh my God, he's back on the field healthy and we're glad to see him? Or is it a situation of waiting to see if he comes back completely healthy, ready to play at the top level he can play? And I think it's got to be the latter. If you're looking at this long term, there's got to be some expectations of this Eagles team to come out of the gates not as crisp as people might think they are going to be. And again, this kind of bleeds into another conversation about this team and about how, again, I'm out on the Eagles and I've been out for a while, but I still love them. They're my team, but I'm out, completely out. But there's a lot of residue from 2024, and I get that. When you're a Super Bowl champion, there should be a lot of residue. That's what this is about, and they're going to exercise some of those demons on opening day or opening night against the Cowboys. But we do know, and I'm asking this as a general question to the public here, that just because the Eagles ran roughshod through the NFL in 2024 and did some magical things there and captured a Super Bowl, that is not necessarily what's going to happen in 2025, right? I mean, you guys do know that every season is different. And yes, what the Eagles are attempting to try to do is become a dynasty. And with a win this year, you can't really argue the fact that it would not be an Eagle dynasty. But is this a dynasty team? And all the changes that were made in the offseason, is this, heading into this season, is this really the dynasty team that we're expecting to see? So the Landon Dickerson thing might have some sort of, expectation sort of management issues that we need to kind of get our hands around, especially early on in the season. And I really maintain that I would like to see him better later down the line than half 60-70% in September. I really don't want to see that. Mike, the problem with the lineup after Turner, Schwarber, Harper, it's a crapshoot. Yeah, well, I would go, yeah. I mean, yeah, it is. And that's obviously the problem, and more so with that bottom part of that lineup. And I've made this point a couple times, and I can't believe I say this, but I really believe it, that at no point in my life following baseball have I looked at a bottom part of a lineup and thought, God, we really need you guys to produce more than I look at when I see the Phillies lineup. because these are the guys down there, and we can talk 6, 7, 8, 9. These are the guys who are not the power hitters. These are the guys that are supposed to be getting on base in front of the power hitters and enabling them to drive runs in. And unfortunately, I hate to say this, but as the bottom of the lineup goes, so does this baseball team. And that's a weird thing. And I'm not saying it can't work. I'm not saying that. It can work. And with a power-laden veteran team like the Phillies, that's exactly what they are. And if they can start getting on base, and tonight was a prime example of what it looks like when it doesn't work, then you set up Harper, Schwarber, and Turner to drive in the big runs and get the offense going. But when you're not getting anything from the bottom part, and again, I said this in the post game, why is Max Kepler still playing every day? Is anybody answer that question? I really want to know. I really, really want to know, because again, I equated the Max Kepler thing, all the love that Rob Thompson is now getting for using Johan Durant as his closer. I equate that to the love that the fraud Howie Roseman gets for drafting players from the SEC. Aren't you supposed to do that? Aren't you supposed to draft players from pro programs to come in and join your football team? So aren't you also supposed to put Johan Durant in as a closer? Because that's what he is, a closer. So where is the venom for Rob Thompson by once again playing Max Kepler every day? Well, where's the venom there? At what point do you pull the plug on that and switch the platoon around so that Max Kepler is playing every third day or fourth day and not Bader? I mean, you brought him in here. You paid some pretty good buku prospects to bring this kid here. And you only have him potentially. I know there's a mutual option on Bader, but you could potentially not have him after this season. So why are you not playing him every day? I just don't get it. So there's the Rob Thompson still sort of shining through right now with this baseball team. And again, that scares me too about this team. Is Mike filling in for Pat this coming Friday? He should be, yes. As far as I know, he is. I talked to Mike yesterday. Was that yesterday? Yeah, that was yesterday. And we didn't talk about that. But, yeah, until Pat figures out his internet issues, that's what Mike's going to be kind of holding down the reins of the wraparound. So, and that is, of course, every Friday night at 10:30 here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. The Wraparound with Pat Bernard, currently with Mike Lauro. So make sure you're tuned in for that. So, Landon Dickerson's injury, is it something that Eagles Nation is, I mean, how serious is this? And how effective or how much can this affect the Eagles offense overall in 2025? And how important was Landon Dickerson to that offense? And again, I'm asking these questions sort of in a blind carpeted way because I understand how important he was. I understand what he meant to this team. And it's a huge loss. Absolutely is a huge loss. And even if the situation with Landon Dickerson is minimal, and even if they can clean up what the problem is here in early August, is there really any expectation or viable expectation that he's back week one? And again, is that even the smart thing to do? I say it's not. I say you keep him out until he's 100% ready to go. And what does that replacement look like? So I think Landon Dickerson's and this is a problem that the Eagles did not have to face that much in 2024. Again, this is part of that magical run that season was. And it was the injury bug. The Eagles didn't have issues majorly with injuries last year. And now you're right off the hop dealing with the problem with one of your foundational pieces of this offense. And that's not a good thing to start the season off with, obviously. And then, of course, the news around the NFL with CJ, GJ, BJ, KJ tearing his ACL. And then you got Darius Slay limped off out of practice for the Lions the other day. What's going on for the Steelers? He doesn't play for the Lions, but for the Steelers. What's going on? I mean, maybe Howie was smart after all. He got rid of these guys right at the nick of time. But, injuries are a part of this game. And the Eagles dodged a bullet in 2024. Now, they didn't dodge a bullet in 2017 when they won the Super Bowl. They were injury-ridden across that roster, and they still found a way to win. I'm not saying you can't win. I'm just saying it's a definite part of football that the Eagles did not have to really attend with in 2024. And now, again, right out of the chute, you got one of your foundational pieces going down with a potentially serious injury. So how do the Eagles bounce back from that? And just Jeff Stoutland, Stoutland U nonsense and all that, is it going to get tested now with potentially Landon Dickerson being out of the lineup for an extended period of time? Thoughts on ESPN buying the NFL Network? I don't know, man. I mean, is there really anything? I don't know. Doesn't Disney own ESPN? Who is the parent company? Like, is ESPN's not its own entity? Doesn't Disney own ESPN? So in essence, is Disney bought the NFL Network? I don't keep track of who owns who anymore. I know there's some, with the situation with people speaking their own mind and all that. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Money makes the freaking world go round, Joe. I don't really have a position on that. I mean, we're seeing it across the board. People getting laid off, getting fired, and for speaking their mind. But I don't really have a position on that. Do you? What's your thoughts on it? I mean, what thoughts am I supposed to have? I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to have. Yeah, Disney owns ESPN. So in de facto, ipso, Disney now owns the NFL Network, right? And Disney also owns ABC, correct? I don't know. I don't know. Are they going to move everything to South Florida? I mean, is that the problem? Do they got to be more PC over at the NFL Network? I mean, the NFL is pretty PC, if you ask me. I don't know. I don't have a position on that. I don't. Maybe I live in a fantasy land that everybody still can do what they want to do without repercussion. The injuries are early in camp and luckily not too serious with Dickerson, but I would let him come slowly. No need to rush. Michael Pepper, you're speculating about the Dickerson injury right now. You're feeding off of what you're being told, but you don't know the true severity of that injury. Nobody does. Again, except for Landon Dickerson, his God, and his doctor. They're the only ones who know the severity of this injury. You're feeding off speculation, right? And again, I understand why, because you want to, and we all want to feel that way. But to say that it's not too serious, you're getting ahead of yourself a little bit here, because we don't know how serious it is. And for a guy that plays left guard in the NFL, any kind of meniscus problem or knee problem, ligament muscle wise, that is serious. I don't care who you are. But you're right, it is early in camp, and absolutely you do kind of like let him go slowly through this process. There's no need in trying to win a Super Bowl in September, because we've seen the Eagles not have the greatest of months in September. And then if you look at the NFL product in September across the board, and I'm not even talking about the Eagles, but across the board, the product sucks in September because so little, no more is the priority is no longer training camp in the preseason. It's not a priority anymore. You're just trying to survive that without getting too hurt. You almost use those first 4 games of the season as like the extended preseason where you bang off all the rust. Remember back in the day when I was a kid, it was the preseason where you banged off the rust. And then you try to get into the regular season right off the bat, playing as good as you could in September. Now it's October because they use September as sort of an extended preseason. So, and that's across the board, that you're not going to get the best out of anybody in September. You're just not in this day and age of the NFL. So if you have an opportunity with that in mind to let him kind of come along at his own pace, why don't you take it? I think it's a no-brainer, 100% no-brainer. And the Eagles, historically, over the past year or two, haven't had great Septembers. So 2-2 is the expectation, I guess. Does that constitute a successful September? I know Eagles fans out there don't want to hear 2-2 this year. It's 17-0, and we're going to win them all. But I agree, though. I think you do have to kind of look at that, read the room, give this guy an opportunity to be the best version of him that he can be, and help you when you really need him. And that's honestly, in this landscape of the NFL in 2025, is October on. I mean, with September being the actual preseason. So I agree with you there, Kaepernick. I absolutely 100% do agree. But Landon Dickerson's injury is significant because it tests, yet again, the mettle of this team. It tests the depth. Who is the replacement? So we're going to have to wait and see how all that sort of plays out. And what does this do to the new offensive, Kevin Padula's and his new offensive scheme? Does it change it? Are you going to see a lot more? And I can't believe I want to say this, like I formation stuff with Van Sumeren leading the way to clear a path along that left-hand side for Saquon Barkley. Is that going to change the offense? Is it going to limit some of those explosive plays and is it going to cause you to use an additional player in the backfield in Van Sumeren more often than you'd want to blow open a hole for Saquon Barkley to run off the left-hand side? I mean, how does that affect the Eagle offensive outlook moving into the season? And that's a question that hasn't really been asked or answered. We're so fixated on the actual injury. We're not looking at this thing long term. And again, I'm not saying he's gone for the year, but more than likely he's gone for some time. So how does that change the offensive landscape of this football team? I do believe that Dickerson's injury is a big loss if it's season ending. But I do believe, like in 2017, when the Eagles lost all-world Jason Peters for the season and replaced him with Big V and won a Super Bowl. I already mentioned that, is that the Eagles in 2024 did not face that adversity, but yes, in 2017 they did, and they came out on top. But what was the ramifications of the 2017 Eagles Super Bowl team? Right, we talked about it back then. I remember it back then. It was all about winning the Super Bowl in 2018 because we're going to have Carson Wentz back, and everyone, Jason Peters is back. They're all going to come back, and they didn't go back to back. Again, I'm not saying they correlate. I get it. Football is not, you can put together a starting roster of players on both the offense and defense. That's great. More than likely, not all of them are going to get to the end of the season intact. More than likely. So it's about what you do with the second and third levels of your roster that really wins you Super Bowls. And 100% agree with that, because sometimes football turns into a war of attrition. And it's who's got the best remaining at the end. And right now, obviously, we don't know that because we haven't gotten anywhere. But starting the season with Landon Dickerson on the shelf is a game changer for the Eagles, regardless of how long he's on the shelf for. If it's for a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, whatever. The season, it's a game changer. And what are the Eagles? What do you think the plan is to offset that? Do the Eagles have to change their offensive identity to compensate for the loss of Landon Dickerson, regardless if it's for a week or 12, whatever? And with a new offensive coordinator that we don't necessarily, we don't know what this guy is. Does that change his philosophy? And does it change Nick Sirianni's philosophy about being a CEO again? And does he want to jump back in the calling plays and all that? What are the ripple effects of this injury, at least for the short term, for the Eagles in 2025? I think losing Jason Peters was a bigger loss in 2017 than Landon. Oh, 100%. Oh, actually, Carson Wentz was the biggest loss for the Eagles in 2017. But no, I agree. And they definitely rebounded and they kept chugging along. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying, and they lost Peters. What? They lost Peters in like mid-October. He made it like halfway through the season before he went down, right? It was like November, wasn't it? Wasn't it that game against the Redskins? That Monday nighter, he went down. The game where Carson Wentz got engulfed, but then he came out of it and threw and ran for some yards. Wasn't that the game that Peters went down in? And that was sort of kind of in the like back end of the season. It was like in November, like early November, I believe. So again, most of the season was sort of already played out. Again, I see your point. I do, but I'm saying we're here at the beginning part. You got a new offensive coordinator. Now you're losing your starting left guard. What changes to that offense? And again, I know that we don't know the severity of the injury. We have speculation. There's reports floating around. Nobody knows the severity of the injury except for Landon moving forward, if it is something that's going to require him, and again, I think it still will require him to miss at least a week or two at this point, because we're early in, but we're not that early in. I mean, the season's like 3 weeks away. So losing him for a week or two versus 8 weeks, whatever it is, does this change the offensive philosophy of this football team starting the season? Thoughts on the first preseason game and the rookie playing on the first half. And the rookie playing the first half, what rookie are we talking about? Jihad Campbell, that rookie? You ain't talking about Keely Ringo. He's not a rookie. What rookie are we talking about? There's a whole bunch of them out there. But my thoughts overall on the first preseason game goes along the lines of what preseason football is, right? The win and loss, that means no merit to me at all. Were there some concerns? Oh, yeah. And yes, I have the same cornerback safety issues. I had that back in freaking March and April when they got rid of all the defensive contributors, and they really, in my opinion, replaced them correctly. And all that hype about Keely Ringo from the, and I'll use the H word, the homers out there who thought he was just going to rise into the position and start and do all those things, even though he's shown absolutely no inclination of doing that prior. It was a little bit of, jumping the gun. I get you there. But as far as like inside the numbers type stuff, like versus, regardless of what the score was, it wasn't very encouraging from a defensive standpoint. And everyone's saying, well, Keely Ringo struggled, Sidney Brown struggled because they were playing along with the second string off defense against the Cincinnati Bengal first string offense. And there is something to that. But the Cincinnati Bengal first string offense wasn't running regular season plays. They were running a very watered down offensive attack, and they were just essentially trying to isolate him one-on-one and then watching the receivers pick Keely Ringo apart. So there wasn't no major wrinkles into that offensive attack. It was very watered down vanilla. So yeah, there's concerns. There's concerns with the defensive backfield. And I had those concerns since April. It's something new for me, but we'll see. And we'll see. Jihad Campbell. Yeah, I saw him play. He moves around pretty good. Again, the guy's still learning things. He's going to hopefully be the force to be reckoned with. But the question about Jihad Campbell, and I've had this since they drafted him, was, where do you play him? Is he an edge or is he a linebacker? Or is he a hybrid edge backer? I mean, what are we playing him as? No Kobe Dean for the better part of this season. Does that move Jihad Campbell into more of a primary linebacker role? Is that the best spot for him, or is he better suited off the edge? I don't know what you do with him because of the uncertainty at linebacker right now for this team. So he looked good, first game ever. But yeah, I mean, it's promising, absolutely promising. But we'll see. We'll see. So Landon Dickerson, the injury, concerns that you might have, where this team could go from here. Is it's going to change the offense? Is it something that needs to be looked at with a grain of salt? Do we have to wait and see in terms of how serious this injury is? I mean, is there enough information to sort of, drive your train, or are we completely reacting to something that we don't have all the answers to, and we're trying to make ourselves feel better by saying it's just a minor meniscus injury? It's, again, I don't know how you have a minor meniscus injury, but a minor meniscus injury, and he'll miss minimal time, and nothing will change. I disagree. I think things are going to change. I think things will be are going to have to change, because I don't think you have Landon Dickerson back to start week one, nor do I think you shouldn't have him back. I think you give him an opportunity to heal and really focus on what you need him for, and that's that stretch run down towards the end. And I'd rather have him then than in September. So all some great things. I think Tanner McKee gets traded next offseason. Okay, so Tanner McKee, interesting point there. I don't know. I don't have a book on Tanner McKee. I really have not spent much time looking at him. There's a reason why he's a backup / third stringer. There's a reason why no one gave him an opportunity, why the Eagles haven't given him an opportunity, obviously. And they're going to give him an opportunity this year to step into more of a important role, and that's the backup quarterback. And I don't know if that's the right answer. I don't know if Tanner McKee is the best option for backup. I didn't think Kenny Pickett was, but I don't know if Tanner McKee is that best option. We haven't really seen Tanner McKee. Everything we've seen from Tanner McKee has been this kooky preseason type atmosphere. Even the Giants game last year was a preseason type atmosphere. Well, let's face it, it was. The game, this Giants season was over. The Eagles were coasting. No one was going to get hurt. It had that preseason feel to it in December. And of course, he played the other night. I need to see Tanner McKee in actual game time, like in crunch time, like in an actual game. Lead the team back, with 2 minutes to go. Be that type of quarterback. And I have not seen any of that ever. And I don't know if you can make it a viable, assumption about Tanner McKee. Because, I have personally never seen him play in anything but a preseason environment, whether it be in the regular season, in mop-up duty, or at the end of the season when they're resting starters, or in the actual preseason. So in a preseason environment, Tanner McKee looks like the next coming. But is he that way in regular season games? And if the Eagles, based on what you think about him getting traded next offseason, should you trade him now before teams see him in actual gameplay? Maybe the Eagles could, and there's the Howie Roseman magic. That would be working. That would be magical, right? You get big time return on Tanner McKee without any real game tape on him. It's just a bunch of hype and expectation. But I don't think that's happening. But the Tanner McKee thing, I don't know. I honestly, I haven't seen him in actual game time moments in pressure situations. I have never seen him in that. So in the preseason environment, yeah, man, he's an all-pro. But in regular season playoff, back against the wall type stuff, no, I've never seen him play that way. So I don't know. I don't think the Eagles should be in a wait and see mode. The Eagles should be in the next man up mode and start focusing on getting the offensive line gelling. Pabernick, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. They obviously have to be in the next man up mode because someone needs to step in. You're right. But I'm not necessarily saying wait and see in terms of let's hold back and not play football until Landon Dickerson comes back. I'm just saying, obviously, someone's got to step up and someone's got to gel with somebody. Now, we talked about it earlier. So I guess the backup technically on the depth chart now is Kenyon Green, but isn't he's hurt. So I don't know if that's who your backup is, and I don't know who the backup would be. But yeah, obviously someone's got to get plugged in there. Is Toth going to come in? Is he going to be the new guy? I don't know, but someone's got to go in there now. And I don't know. I know they practiced today, I believe. Didn't practice yesterday, so I'm sure somebody was in that role. I didn't really check in on what's going on in their practice today, so I can't answer that. But no, they got to go forward and play football. I understand that. But as far as Landon Dickerson, as the person, I think you definitely got to take a wait and see with him and make sure you get him back completely healthy. Pickett is now the third stringer in Cleveland, but is he really though? Is any of those 9 quarterbacks been listed on the depth chart? I mean, I know Shedeur Sanders is going to play on Saturday. Is Kenny Pickett going to play? I mean, if you want to play quarterback, Cleveland Browns are interested. I'm telling you. They got like 10 quarterbacks on the roster, people trying to get that job. I don't know if you can really say who the third string quarterback is for the Cleveland Browns right now. It might be Pickett. It might not. But I feel your point, man. I feel your point. I think Tanner McKee looked good against the Bengals first team defense. I also think he has improved. But right now, A.J. Feely written all over him, which is back up, not a bad thing. Yeah, well, yeah. But again, no, he doesn't to me. I've seen A.J. Feely in pressure situations. I've seen A.J. Feely have to take a team on his shoulders and march them towards a playoff run when McNabb went down. I haven't seen Tanner McKee do that. All right, we're judging this on preseason stuff. We're judging all his performances, as far as I know, have been in that mode of like this team's sitting these starters, this team's not playing them starters, this team's out of it. and we're just going to get him out there to throw some passes. And then we got preseason action that he played in the other night. Again, I cannot make an assumption over a guy that I have never seen play the sport in a pressure situation at all. And listen, yeah, okay, he played the first team defense, but what was he really seeing out there? Was he seeing a lot of stunts, slants? I mean, was there deception going on? No, it was vanilla. It was all like straight in your face type stuff, man. It was a lot of one-on-one. All right. Again, let's stop with this right now. I'm not saying Tanner McKee's terrible, but I am also not ready to anoint him, the greatest backup quarterback ever, when we have absolutely no tape on him as a backup quarterback in an actual game. That's all I'm trying to say. Tell me when he's played in a pressure situation. Tell me when he's done anything that A.J. Feely did, or even Coy Detmer. Right? I'll even take Coy Detmer as an example. I don't have any of that right now. I can't sit here and tell you about what Tanner McKee is. In a preseason game, he's an all-pro, 100%. But to throw him out there and to cut him as the backup, the primary backup to Jalen Hurts. Now, Jalen doesn't get hurt often. He doesn't up to this point. Maybe you don't see him at all. But what happens if McKee's got to come in a situation in the fourth quarter, playoffs on the line, they got to win to get in? Is Tanner McKee that guy? I don't know. I don't know if he is, or if Tanner McKee a short-term replacement for Hurts if he does get hurt. I honestly don't know, and I don't know that he can be or can't be. Are the Eagles seeing enough to say that, you know what, you are? Because he is the backup. It ain't Kyle McCord. I mean, that ain't happening. It ain't Dorian Thompson, whatever his name is. He's not even going to make it through camp. So it's Tanner McKee's job to lose. But is that the right guy? I don't know. I don't know. Because I've never seen him play in any actual games. It was Toth on the first string and Pryor on the second. There you go. So Toth and Pryor. They're working them in. All right. So again, you gotta keep moving forward. This is on Rob today. No hitting. No hitting. So I was listening. Is why, is it no hitting because of Kepler being in the lineup, or was it no hitting because we've seen this a billion times. This is nothing new to us, the way the offense played. And I know you've missed most of the show, but this is nothing new to the Phillies, the way they've played offensively all season. This is actually more familiar than anything else than what tonight was. This is how they've been for the majority of the last 4 years, even though this is not the same team. So yeah, is it on Rob? I mean, he sets the lineup. Is Kepler playing every day on Rob? 100%. But at the end of the day, Castellanos swinging at balls in the ground. That's not on Rob Thompson. It's not. I mean, that ain't. But you're right. I mean, he set the lineup. This obsession with playing Max Kepler still exists. That's on him. All those things are on him. Now, I would imagine Bader's back in the lineup tomorrow. But yeah, I agree. It's on Rob, but it's also on the players. But I know they're not the same team. We have a Ranger problem. I don't think so, man. I don't know. We may have a Ranger problem. We also may have a Luzardo problem. We also may have a Wheeler problem. And we also have a Nola problem. We could go deep with this. So essentially going into the playoffs right now, you have one reliable starter, and that's Chris Sanchez. And then you have Taijuan Walker, who God forbid, he gets activated for the postseason. We have some uncertainty around Ranger. We have some uncertainty around Jesus Luzardo. My main concern is Zach Wheeler, because I think with an A+++ Wheeler, it overshadows everything else. It really does, because it's like almost a guaranteed seven innings, 1 run, 9 strikeouts type of performance in the postseason. So if you give me that, you can give me that guaranteed. And I know you're not giving me a win guarantee, but if you can give me that performance guaranteed, I'll take the other uncertainty with the other pitchers. And I still think, again, I say this and I'll say it to the end of the year until it actually fails. I'll say that I still believe they have enough pitching to win. It's the offense. It's the offense. But yeah, I mean, there's some uncertainty around Ranger. Uncertainty around a lot of them. All right, so we've bounced around between the Eagles, Landon Dickerson, talked about some of the play of the secondary, Keely Ringo. Again, what's the solution at cornerback? I know the new one, Bennett is his name, the new guy they traded for. He was seeing some reps in practice this week. Are we moving Cooper DeJean back up to the other side, CB2, who plays the slot if that happens? I mean, there's some uncertainty about the camp, but that's what camp is, and that's what the preseason is, a way to work that out. But do we go back to my initial assessment of the Eagle offseason? You got rid of 7 contributors, major contributors of this Super Bowl team. 6 of them were on the defense. They replaced them with a bunch of Class B free agents and a bunch of, not reclamation projects, but a bunch of hope that these draft picks can step up. Was that the right thing to do for a defending Super Bowl champion who was on the verge of potentially becoming a dynasty? And those are questions that we're obviously starting to find out the answers to now. And so far, not so good. So far, the return has not been that good. Darius Cooper. What? Well, you talking about the wide receiver, Cooper? Oh, yeah, and that's the other thing coming out of preseason. The play of Johnny Wilson and the wide receiver, Cooper. Okay. Again, what are we doing here, guys? What are we doing, man? Both of them are Wilson will probably get cut. Cooper's probably headed to the practice squad, and we'll never hear his name again. I mean, okay. Let's keep things in perspective. Again, that was against the number 1 Cincinnati Bengal defense. So I'm going to hedge more on the fact that number 1 Cincinnati defense, the one that Tanner McKee picked apart, was more because they were not playing a regular season type of defense versus the magic of Tanner McKee and Darius Cooper. I'm going to kind of hedge on that side. So call me Kismet, call me weird, whatever. But let's go over to the other night segment because we're getting long in the tooth here tonight. Let's do some other night. That's right. The other night segment has been, it's back. We debuted it again last week after taking a little bit of a hiatus after completing our MLB draft and NHL draft profiling. We haven't had much to talk about, but it's since late July and now bleeding into August, we've touched on all 3 sports, all 3 majors tonight we touched on. We did the night in Philadelphia sports history was a Sixers point when they re-signed Moses Malone back in '93 to be the mentor to Sean Bradley. We've been heavy into some Phillies and Eagles talk tonight. So it's most appropriate that the other night segment now focuses on the hockey team because we're creeping closer, 5 weeks away from the start of Eagles. Flyers, they about a month away from the start of their, they're about 3 weeks away from the start of their training camp. So hockey is returning, and we've started to profile some of the players that are going to be donning the orange and black. And obviously, to be quite honest with you, some of the players that hold the Flyers setting a franchise record of not making the playoffs for 6 straight seasons in their hands heading into this season. And as we get deeper into this, we'll get deeper into the Flyer talk, but I'm concerned that we don't have enough to get to the playoffs this year. I really am concerned. But tonight we're going to focus on the players that are going to be here to try. And we talked Couturier, TK, Michkov, and Zegras. Tonight we're going to focus on a player that I think holds a lot in his hands to the success offensively of this hockey team, and that is Mr. Tyson Forrester, the right winger, number 71 on your scoreboard, on your score sheets. 81 games played last year for Tyson, 25 goals, 18 assists, 43 points, and a -9. This plus-minus thing with this hockey team is really misleading because the Flyers, were so bad with defense. A lot of these players got caught up on the ice a lot of times. But Tyson Forrester took a massive step offensively forward in 2025 or 2024, 2025. I know he's been sort of the sexy Flyer player that everyone's sort of keyed on over the last couple of years. I was not in on Tyson Forrester. I thought his rookie season of 23-24 left a lot to be determined about his offensive ability. There was no question about his work ethic. He'll go into the corners. He'll chase those greasy pucks for you. He'll win those battles. But I was really hoping for more offense from him, and I think he was close to a 20 goal season that year. And this year, though, I got to give him a little credit. He put a little bit more of an offensive goal-scoring touch on his overall game for the Flyers last year. And I really believe his maturation process as an offensive threat is critical for the Flyers' continued success, because he is part of the young core of players when you look at this team. And he is the future of this team. He's part of that future. And he took, I think, a pretty big step forward last year in that his name started showing up quite regularly. I mean, he went through large swaths of time last season with no production, but then he sprinkled it in as getting a little bit more consistent, and he finished the season up pretty consistent by putting the puck in the back of the net. And hopefully that is a start for bigger things to come. You want to see a 30 to 35 goal season from him. The assists obviously are a little puzzling. He's only had 18 assists last year. You could chalk again that up with the Flyers' inability to score goals anyway. So that those numbers need to come up a little bit, but those numbers will come up if you put more talent around him. It's really a number you can't control as a hockey player. But the 25 goals is very encouraging for Tyson Forrester last season, and I like for him to take another step to a 30 goal season this year, and maybe about a 25 to 30 assist season. So kind of round those points up to about a 60-point season, and that's kind of where maybe the ceiling on Tyson would be. But I'm liking the progress. I'm still not back in on Tyson Forrester. I'm still kind of on the fence with him, but he definitely holds a lot to the Flyers' success in the future in his hands. And there you go. There's our of the night segment. Tyson Forrester, the right winger from the Flyers. There's your of the night segment and your Flyers spotlight of the night. Cooper and Wilson will be on special teams. I disagree. One will be on the practice squad. The other one will be on the street. Good show. I'm off to bed. Thank you. Good show. Will there be a show tomorrow? There will be 6, 7, 8. Probably not. I got post game tomorrow, so I probably will not do a show after the post game, because post game is going to come on around 7. I don't know. We'll see, Joe. We'll leave it up in the air. Leave it up in the air for now. But let's finish up the show as we do every week here on the program with the best segment of the night. All right, that's right. MattyB's card review. We wrap up every show with this segment, and tonight it's a special one for those of you that are still tuned in, because you're going to get to see one of my holy grail cards. Yeah, in my collection that spans close to 10,000 sports cards in all 4 major sports. This is one of the ones that's going to put me on easy street. That's right. This is one of the financial lucrative ones. Maybe not. It's got a pretty big sort of berth right now when it comes to the financial value of this card. But this is a card that in about 20 years will probably be sought after by a lot of people. But there's some drawbacks to why this card may never see its financial epochs, because, and we'll get into the reason why this card may never get to where it really should be financially. But this is definitely one of the holy grail cards of my collection, and I'm honored tonight to share it with you. And this is an unassuming card from an unassuming year of Topps baseball cards back in 1993. So in around the late 80s, early 90s, Topps began to sort of do those parallels, or not parallels, but those insert cards, the special ones, the not necessarily a player card, but like, focus on a draft pick card. Now, they did the 86 set came out with the McGuire Team USA card, but it wasn't something that Topps did every year. But in 93, they began to start doing that. And this was one of their cards, their special insert cards in 93. And again, at that time, a very unassuming player, but it turned out to be one of the greatest players that ever played for the New York Yankees of all time. And I speak, of course, of the captain, Derek Jeter, and his 1992 draft pick card from the 93 Topps baseball set. This is Derek Jeter's draft card. This was the card that they put out in the 93 set to sort of focus it on Derek Jeter. At the time, who knew who the hell Derek Jeter was? Now, Jeter would make his MLB debut at the end of the 95 season for the Yankees, and then be the fixture at shortstop starting on opening day in the snow against the Kansas City Royals in 96, and then end up his career as arguably in the holy trinity of Yankee history, along with Gehrig and Ruth. So, and DiMaggio. You got to look at, you got to put him there. He's one of those, he's that type of impact player that he was for the Yankees. He's up there with those guys. Of course, number retired by the Yankees, Baseball Hall of Fame, first ballot inductee, just one of the best shortstops to ever play the game. And I'm sitting on his 1992 draft pick card from the 93 Topps. Now, the drawback of this card is from the wax era, which means there's a lot of them, a lot of cards were put in production. But that's why right now this card specifically is all over the spectrum when it comes to money. It really comes down to what an investor or a buyer would want to pay for a card like this. I've seen it everywhere from $40 to $2,000 that these cards are being sold for. And I think as we move through time and some of these cards get weeded out and Derek Jeter's legacy continues to grow in the spectrum of a Babe Ruth, DiMaggio, Gehrig type spectrum, this card will assume a position at some point years from now as one of the most sought after baseball cards ever. And I happen to be sitting on one. So again, one of my very best cards, my holy grail card, the 92 draft pick card, Derek Jeter. Here it is from the 93 Topps. Definitely a card, if you happen to come across, put it safely away, safeguard it, because it may not yield financial windfall for you, but definitely for the future generations, that whoever you might leave it to might be in a position to make a lot of money off that baseball card someday. But there you go, Derek Jeter, and everything else that we talked about here on the program tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and hanging in there with me. Good show tonight. I actually covered all 4 major sports teams. It's the first time I've done that in a hot minute. So I want to thank everybody for their patience, and big night for me, as I was also on the Fightins final. So as I said, there may be, I am back tomorrow on the post game. I do not know if we're going to do a follow-up on the post game to this show. Typically I don't do this show when I do post games, so I don't know right now, but we will be back on. We will not be back on Thursday night because I won't be able to get. I'll be out late Thursday night, so I will not be doing a show. So this could possibly be the final show of the week. But next week, folks, I promise you, we'll get back to standard operating procedure, 5 nights a week. My time is coming to an end where I'm working at now, and next week I'll be able to focus more on this. So we've made it to the end of the summer, for me at least. I know we're not done with the summer, but my summer is coming to an end. But I will see you again tomorrow night on the post game. And until then, you guys have a great rest of your night and a better tomorrow.